Hi everybody, happy 2022, and a big shout out to you for expressing interest in having us back this year for our DIY Saturdays and make and take kits, the Lawrenceburg Public Library and the Friends of the Library for sponsoring our Year of the Stones and Crystals. And I am Carisa Bunten with 7th Street Gifts. We're a small family owned and operated brick and mortar apothecary shop in downtown Newport, Kentucky, established in 1999. And we are open Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and online for exact hours and any information or questions you may have. So what we're going to do this year is we're going to introduce a different stone, crystal, or mineral for every month and talk about just its origins, maybe some fun historical facts, things about it, the color, why it was chosen. And then what I would like you to do is hold on to them and collect them and keep them in a safe place. And then as the year progresses, we will start to introduce ways to use them, like ideas for jewelry, ideas for maybe even incorporating into recipes or making spiritual tools or just everyday household items. But we're going to begin the first 4 or 5 months just talking about the stone or the crystal, getting the hang of it, getting a feel for the collection. And then as we progress into the year, we'll start to use more ideas about like how to and how to use them, okay? And we're going to loosely follow the months for our calendar to choose the stones or crystals or minerals that we're going to use throughout the year. So for the month of January, we're going to start with a garnet. And your garnet is going to come in a little wax envelope like this, sealed up with a sticker. And they're going to be about kind of like pea size maybe to maybe a little bit larger. And they're a nice, weighty, heavy stone. And you'll realize the differences in weight and density and texture as you build on your collection throughout the year. Now this looks nearly black, but when you hold it up to the light, or one of my favorite things to do is to turn my flashlight app on my telephone and lay it on it, kind of like use the surface, and you'll get more of this deeper red purpley hue that most of us are accustomed to. In the world of stones and crystals, garnets are one of the more expensive ones, especially in the world of like semi-precious. So at the shop, we keep our garnets in a case, and they're anywhere between $5 and $8 each, these little tumbled ones, based on gram weight, which is an affordable investment, but most of our stones and crystals are $1 or $2, so this is, you know, on the higher end as far as price and quality and availability go too. They're kind of a little trickier to get your hands on than other stones or crystals. So the word garnet itself means dark red, and it's traced back to the Latin phrase, the punica granatum, or meaning pomegranate. And the red seeds are very similar in hue. So those are the most valuable. The one that you have would be very similar in hue to the pomegranate seed. And then oftentimes you'll see as they're tumbled and found in nature, chipped off of larger pieces of like mountainside or rock, they are similar in shape to pomegranate seeds as well. Now in your handouts that will accompany your garnet that have like a lot more fun facts and maybe more in-depth historical accuracy and spellings and things of that nature, you will see that there's a variation in a lot of colors. So garnets come in many different colors, and then your handout will list those and what those garnets are called. But the red garnets are considered the prize or the best, or like the grade A, okay? So not that other garnets aren't lovely, and you couldn't have a green or an orange garnet, but the garnets that we're talking about that are prized for jewelry and that are referred to in ancient texts and in biblical writings are this color of the pomegranate seed. So again, traditionally, garnet is known as the January birthstone and the stone of commitment. Okay, so oftentimes garnets were used as promise rings or mounted into little engagement rings like as sides to show the commitment. And then it's also a good tool to use this time of year in January to remind us of resolutions and promises that we've made. So it's been kind of used as a reminder or a symbol to show commitment, follow through, steadfast, and like your promise. So it's a good way to start the year off, because even if your resolutions are simple, just like I'm going to get more sleep or drink more water, you could use this garnet in any way you want as a friendly reminder. Or you could give it to somebody as a sign of your commitment to them. And it doesn't necessarily have to be romantic. It could just be friendship, or hey, I'm here for you. I'm committed to you. So it's a symbol that holds a lot of power for something that's pretty important, right? So when we look at historical context and read more about the lovely little garnet, it dates very, very far back, pretty much as far back as you can find any sort of records of mankind. So one of the first historical date, I guess, old recordings that we have are Egyptian statues that we found in tombs. And there were rings and jewelry and little Isis and lovely, just imagine, you know, the deep hues of the garnet and the lapis and yellow gold. So when they would do excavations and find Egyptian mummies, statues, pyramids, and things of that nature, garnets were very richly embedded into the culture of Egypt and in almost all of the fine jewelry. Then we have found rings with garnet that date back to the 3rd century BC. So when they would do Greek and Roman excavations and discover the fallen temples, they would find rings, jewelry, all sorts of beautiful adornments that had garnets that were embedded into the jewelry. Now if we want to go a little bit farther up, we have the 18th century Victorian, and those are oftentimes still in museums that we can see today, like the Smithsonian in Washington. They have a Victorian jewelry exhibition or exhibit, installation, and it's very, very common to find garnet in almost every piece of Victorian jewelry. Now on a little bit different use of garnet, various Asian tribes like warriors who were always at war amongst themselves, kind of like in civil wars and things of that nature, would use garnets as bullets. So they would carve their garnets into little bullet shapes, and they believed that they would inflict more damage and be a more painful, I guess, weapon than a lead bullet or anything else because of the color and then the lore, the power, and the mythology. They were used as war weapons. And then legend says that the brightest and the highest quality garnets, so those pomegranate seed, ruby red colors, what we're talking about, were so bright and brilliant that they were used by Noah to light the ark. So you'll see that in many cultures, belief systems, and parts of the world, garnets have worked their way into the history and the lore. And then to ancient chakra and Eastern associations and practices, all the way to today at the shop where we have our chakra stone kits. The first chakra, or the root chakra, is associated with the color of that deep red, almost dark brown, and garnet is oftentimes used to represent the first chakra and chakra tools. And then its kind of metaphysical property or attribute would be, and it has a lot to do with, I think, the weight and the color, is that it's used for grounding. So to give you like an anchor or a root and have a nice heavy weight and a reminder to be, keep your head on the ground or your feet on the ground and your head in the air, right? So your garnet that you have in your cool little wax envelope, along with your accompanying handout, is a tumbled and polished stone. That's what you will call it, because lots of times stones can come like raw or in druzy form or even in crystal point form. And by the end of the year, you'll have a stone that would, or crystal or mineral, that would come in any of those forms. I think next month for February for amethyst we're probably going to do little raw druzies. So you'll be able to see the difference, how a stone is found in its raw state, in its natural quartz or crystal state, or when you get like a big pile of them and then you polish and tumble them and make them shiny and round like these. So this is a polished and tumbled. It's nice and weighty, and remember it's weighed in grams, so that shows you that even a weighty stone would be light in comparison to like ounces or pounds. And then my suggestion is, if you really want to enjoy the hue and see the variations in yours, because even though we're all getting a garnet, everyone's is going to be different in the same, right? Because no two are going to be alike. You can put it under a light. Remember my trick for the cell phone light, and you'll be able to see the deep hue. And then when you see them in the jewelry that we were talking about, like in the Victorian and the Egyptian, or even jewelry that you may have or covet or want yourself, when you look, you'll see that those are cut and faceted garnets. So they're the same stone, and they would be a very high grade, but jewelry makers would use their tools and their lasers and their eye and their polished, you know, everything that they would need to create it, cut and facet it, and then mount it and turn it into like a precious versus a semi-precious, and make it shiny and translucent and give it that jewelry stone look that we are accustomed to. So what we're going to do for the year of stones and crystals is we're going to encourage you to collect and kind of build on your collection. And remember, we're going to pair up the stones, minerals, and crystals with the months to kind of keep us on track with the calendar. And then as we introduce a larger collection and talk about the different forms and the different variations that you're going to receive for your collection, we will begin to introduce ideas and tools for use, wearing, and maybe even recipes. There are some fun ideas to use elixirs and to like charge waters and teas with stones and crystals. But right now we're just going to get started with our collection, maybe get 4 or 5 or 6 under our belt, and then we'll look at them all together and kind of regroup, and then we'll talk about ways to use them, I don't know, in fun and practical ways. So in conclusion, this is the year of stones and crystals with Lawrenceburg Public Library and 7th Street Gifts. And I'm super excited about it. And a shout out to the staff at 7th Street for helping me come up with the idea. Aaron, Claire, Karen, Lisa. We all brainstormed and thought what would be a fun thing to do with Lawrenceburg this year, and that's what we decided. So thanks a lot. Look forward to next month for February and Amethyst, which is, you know, an all-time favorite, the sobriety stone, and we will talk more about everything then.